Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of Hutcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant-at-Arms. You can now take your post.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual and participants. These views and opinions expressed do not represent those of the host or the show. The opinions in this broadcast are not to replace your legal, medical, or spiritual professionals. Welcome to Hutcast. Today is 8/9/2025, and I'll tell you what, if you listen to the last show, you're in for another treat. John Richardson. He's a researcher from Arizona who does some research on the pits and seeds of fruits can give you some miraculous benefits. So hang tight, Hutcast fans, and tune in because this guy's got some information that, like the last one, was just incredible. Incredible to know, incredible to listen to, things that are simple enough to say, hey, I can try that, and I can try that very easily. Hutcast is going to be right back.
Is your patriotism showing? Freedom Flag and Pole has everything you need to display your American pride. Visit freedomflagandpole.com today to browse durable, high-quality flags to sturdy, easy-to-install flagpoles. Freedom Flag and Pole makes it simple to honor the red, white, and blue. Show your support for our nation, your community, or even your favorite holiday. Freedom Flag and Pole offers a wide variety of flags and sizes to fit any need. Visit them online at freedomflagandpole.com. That's freedomflagandpole.com to get your flag flying high.
And welcome back to Hutcast. As mentioned in pre-roll, we have an extraordinary guest today. He has got some things you probably want to listen to, and if you listen to the last episode, these guys work in tandem on stuff that we should be paying attention to. So what we're not going to do is we're not going to make a canned-up gig. We're going to just play this by the ear and say, okay, what do you got? John, can you hear me? John Richardson.
I can hear you perfectly. It sounds like you're in an amazing studio in the basement someplace, so it's perfect.
Kind of an underground bunker. We don't say basement.
Okay, that's right. Nobody wants to be living in their parents' basement.
Hey, whoa. At this stage of life, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
No, well, it's as long as it's 3 square meals and a place to lay your head.
3 hots and a cot. I think they say that in prison too, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah.
Not that I would be aware of that, but hey.
No, I've never been. So yeah, but I've heard that. So
yeah, I've seen it in a National Geographic somewhere. so tell us about yourself. I want the people to know you. Again, as I mentioned to you off film here, that I wanted to talk non-scripted.
Sure.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Well, I'm the son of somebody that did something amazing. That's continuing on his legacy. I'm a father of 11 children, aged 33 down to 4. Wow. I live out in Scottsdale, Arizona, but I spent a whole lot of my life in California, working in the apricot field, let's say, because we're going to talk about it. But the apricot seeds are an amazing thing that God gave us. He mentioned it in Genesis 1:29. And so my family has been involved in it since the the mid 60s. Wow. But it's been kind of my career for the last 30 years. And the last 7 years, I would say I've been out telling the story in a non-fearful way, because for the first 23 years of my involvement, or maybe longer than that, we were concerned that the same thing would befall us if we got out and told this truth that happened to my father. My father ended up as an MD, ended up going to jail, not prison, but he went to jail for several overnight stays. He got arrested 2 or 3 times, like the craziest times. Usually when he was going to go about to testify to the Congress or something like that, they would send some goons out to arrest him and harass him. And then he got his practice raided at least 8 times that we've got record of. And so all because what he was helping people wipe out a disease, thousands of people wipe out a disease that affects millions of Americans and has killed millions of Americans. And today, unfortunately, 2,000 or more people will die from that disease.
Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
We want, that story sounds like Dr. Scott Jensen. Are you familiar with anybody up here in Minnesota?
I don't. I don't specifically know Dr. Scott Jensen, but I know so many different naturopathic doctors who have fought the battle on different fronts. So it's probably 1 degree of separation between Scott and I.
Right, and they weaponized the system against them.
Yep,
and that sounds like what you got going here.
Yeah, it is exactly what I got going here, and it's connected to what's going on now, the whole COVID thing, or it was connected by the doctors, the frontline doctors that stood up at the SCOTUS and announced to the world that there was a natural, cheap, effective way to deal with COVID, and they all got destroyed. Some of them have lost their license permanently. Some are still trying to get it back. Some lost it and got it back. So, and they were demonized throughout the media, just like, other people have been demonized for the subject of ivermectin. Everybody knows that. Right. Yeah. So it's the same exact story told over and over again. And finally, the people listening have woken up to saying enough is enough. I don't want to be lied to anymore. I just want the truth. Just give me the truth.
Even the left Dems don't want to listen to it anymore.
The what?
Even the left Dems don't want to listen to it anymore.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, because here's the deal, Tim. It doesn't matter what your political slant is. You deserve to have healthy children.
Every time.
You deserve to have your children happy at the breakfast table, eating, good food, and you spending time with your kids and your grandkids. If you're a leftist liberal or a right-wing conservative or somewhere in between, we all deserve to have a family and children, and there should not be a political. You shouldn't have a political class that's more unhealthy than other, unless they specifically choose to be that way because they just want to throw a blind eye. But it shouldn't be forced on anybody.
Now I got this thing about deserves versus earned.
Yeah,
I have a buddy. It's total left. And I used to run for office, and he says, "You're the only right I would ever vote for." But what he taught me was, he said, the difference between deserves and earned is entitlement. And I says, how do you figure? Because you mentioned, you triggered me when you said deserves. We don't deserve anything. We've earned that.
Yeah.
And we're not entitled to that. That's our God-given right.
Absolutely.
So we don't.
No, you're absolutely.
When people say, "What's your pronoun?" My pronoun is earned. How do you earn pronoun? Oh, no. Isn't that crazy?
Doesn't that open the conversation when someone says, "What's your pronoun?" You almost want to just go, "Hey, have a nice day."
Up in yours. There's my pronouns. Up in yours.
Yeah, exactly.
I get you. You're preaching what I listen to all the time, and we need to reach to the people that don't drink our Kool-Aid, shall we say? Do you agree with that? We need the people on the left that said, "Hey, I'm going to vote for Trump now because I don't believe we should be voting for Camilla."
Yeah.
And the people
we're getting that.
Yeah, they wouldn't even do that before.
Yeah, we're getting that. It's I'm out. I really try not to be in any echo chambers, so I'm willing to speak just any situation. I'll speak to doctors that are fully entrenched in the we call it the MIC, the medical industrial complex, because I find now more than ever that doctors that have been doing that for 20, 30 years are open to hearing about other things. It used to be they go, "Oh, I don't want to hear about that. Don't talk to me. Get out of my office," or don't have anything to do it. Now, at least if they're an honest person, and again, no matter what their political slant is, no matter what they learned in medical school,
it's irrelevant.
They're willing to listen.
Yep.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. They're willing to listen to other things. Now, they may not risk their license. They may not put their practice on. They may not put the practice up. But I was at a conference about 2-3 weekends ago, and I happened to have Mike Tyson on the panel, and Tito Ortiz, and there were some other major doctors along with me, little old me, talking about the apricot seed and B17 and cancer. But the doctor sitting next to me was fascinating because he was from California, and he has written a book called Between a Shot and a Hard Place. And he told me that I'm from California originally. It takes 72 vaccines in the state of California to get your child from birth to kindergarten in California, and it's mandated. There's no doctor's thing to get out of it or anything like that. There's no religious exemptions. It's like literally Gestapo in California when it comes to vaccines. But he said he was about ready to introduce his book, and so he got a medical license in Texas and in Tennessee, understanding that as soon as he released his book, they were going to come down on him in California. But exactly the opposite happened. He not only he's become a celebrity, and he's in Hollywood, California, and he's got he said his practice is overflowing. He doesn't even have to advertise. He's got so many customers that have children that want to know the facts about vaccines. He said to me, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm just a person that wants to know the truth, and wants to see the studies. I want my patients to know and see the science before they make the decisions, because they might have tested this vaccine against that or this one over here, but nowhere in any study have they done two vaccines together. And in California, they want you to do 72 different vaccines by the time your child's 5. And it's a wonder. When I think about it, it's a wonder that kids live at all in California. I mean, so
now we see how they turn out, right?
Right, and so the health of our children in California is worse than anywhere, but the health of our children in the United States is worse than any country that's listening to us right now. We have the worst childhood illness issues than anybody in the world. We have 50% obesity. We have a third have diabetes. Half have ADD, and they're constantly sick. They're constantly sniffling. They're constantly getting on the newest drug. That's not the way it was when I was a kid. It's not the way it was when RFK describes when he was a kid. 3% of children are sick now. 60% of our children 12 to 15 years old have some kind of ongoing medical issues. That's disgusting. It's sick,
isn't it? And how did I have a doctor friend? His first name is Phil. You put it together, and he says sometimes you just gotta pump the brakes and examine that common sense ain't common enough.
Right. Exactly.
And sometimes you need to walk into this with common sense and say, hold on, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, absolutely not. But he was right as also. So what are you doing? You're putting so many chemicals in. You don't even have a meniscus to check against what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Other than it's incredible. It's incredible how this is turning out. This next generation is going to be a total crap show.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be, unfortunately, it's going to be the when we're talking about vaccines and all the facts are coming out, and I'm sure you heard that RFK just basically, I don't want to use the word banned or outlawed, but he just pulled the funding from all mRNA vaccines. That was like 2 or 3 days ago, and that's going to be earth shattering, because even the inventor of the mRNA vaccine says we shouldn't be using it. It should not be used for humans. I mean, they've done animal testing, and whole squads of animals have died, and so they've just pulled the financing. So that's going to protect a lot of people from being guinea pigs, being test subjects, because they don't have any studies that prove these things are safe and effective. And so it really is happening right now. And the exciting thing for me is that even all the death and destruction is going on, and I'm not happy about that. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see people dying sooner or anything like that. But it has opened people's mind to the fact that, wait a minute, maybe there's other natural ways to get immunity, or natural ways to get health that I've discounted, that I've poo-pooed, that I've said, no, that can't be. And now people, are open to hearing about this. I spoke to a group of ladies last night about how breast cancer was proven to be by a Dr. Harold Manor at Loyola University in the 1970s. He did a 5-year study, and he came out and said breast cancer's mastectomies should now be a thing of the past. And he proved in the lab, test after test, that combining B17, vitamin A, and pancreatic enzymes wipes out cancers in laboratory mice, breast cancers. And then he proved it in 15 human subjects. The problem was the university was funded by all the big pharma companies, so he was fired. He was fired, and instead of being having a monument at Loyola University, or you knowing about him, or being taught in medical schools, he was left penniless and had to move to Mexico to live out the rest of his life. If he announced that in 1978 and died of a heart attack in 1988, basically a broken man.
Sounds like one of the Goodyear guys. Wasn't he one of that made this great formula for making tires?
Yeah, and they broke. Even though
and then the next generation picked it up and they took it from there. But but the point's the same.
Yeah,
the point's identical. If I see here's the thing. I was on NPR a couple of months ago. A friend of mine got shot here up in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And shot 9 times he was, and his wife was shot 7 times, and it was on national news. It was kind of a big thing, and he's been on the show, and he's a very close friend of mine.
Oh man, that's horrible. I heard about that.
Oh, I'm sure the whole world heard about that, and I'm going to get him on the show, and we're going to have this talk. But he needs to.
Is that when the other couple got murdered? Was that the
Melissa?
Okay, so
Melissa is and her husband Mike.
Yeah,
and John and his wife. Yeah, John was the first shot.
Oh my gosh, and he survived.
He did. He's goodness. It's incredible. But my point where I was going with this is, God, where was I going?
We're talking about how
mental health. So
mental health. Yeah.
So I'm visiting him, and I walk into his hospital room, and I say, hey, look, Governor Hoffman, what do you think we should do about this? And he looks at me and goes, because we very open about it, it's about stuff, and he says, what am I going to run on? And he says, really, you're laying in bed with 9 holes in you, and you got to wonder what you're going to run on, and it's all about mental health.
Yeah.
I says, John, you know that gun didn't jump up and shoot you. You got that, right?
No. Yeah.
And me and him go shooting a lot, and he's on Dem's side, and we're good friends. And I says, this is a total mental health thing. This, if anything, binds this together about what is mental health.
Yep.
So when you start pumping these chemicals in these people, these kids, well, what are they supposed to think? In their mind, it's normal.
Yeah. Well, we have created a generation of. We've created a whole generation of kids that have been just doped up. From all different angles, and all these elixirs and mixtures, and every time they go to the doctor, they're getting another vaccine or another shot. And again, not to be anti-medicine or anti Western medicine. I'm very pro Western medicine. I think it has its place. Absolutely. If I get in a car accident and I break my legs, I'm not going to eat apricot seeds. I mean, it's not going to heal me. I'm not going to go take an injection of vitamin C. It's modern medicine does excellent with emergencies, with accidents, with gunshot wounds, for example. You can't. There's no nutrients you're going to take, that's going to heal your gunshot wound. But modern medicine has its place, absolutely. But we're seeing this explosion now of people realizing. I'm watching people that used to have death sentences being called, you got cancer, used to take that as a death sentence, that are now living not only past the death sentence, but they're thriving. They're living a better life than ever because they're understanding that cancer is nothing more. And many of your audience will hear this for the first time, but it's nothing more than a metabolic deficiency disease, meaning you have deficiencies of the nutrients your body needs to prevent you from getting cancer. Cancer is not something you catch. It's not it's not in your genes. It's not even in a vaccine that you're going to get turbo cancer. All of those things that people have been told cause cancer are all destroying the immune system. The body's God-given immune system is what keeps you from getting cancer. If you destroy that immune system with an mRNA vaccine that's been proven to kill T cells, if you destroy the immune system, then you're going to get all diseases are going to go up, not just cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all the things that people are getting at a higher prevalency now because of the destruction of our immune system. Those are all going to happen. But cancer is a deficiency disease.
How do you get it across to them?
I have to beat it into people's heads. I literally have to I have to tell people, I think it takes about 7 or 8 times
Before they hear
people
it.
of me
Yeah.
before they really hear it, because your audience is going to hear it and they're going to just go, oh, that guy's crazy, or he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he just wants to sell some apricot seeds, or whatever the thing we do when we don't really want to look into something, because, you know, we have an aunt that just got cancer and she's going to get chemo and radiation, and we visit her and she's weighing half the weight and her hair's falling out. And so we go, there's no way doctors would put my aunt through all this if there was a God-given, inexpensive, effective, highly effective way to have them live a normal life. And so it's so against us as human beings to think that we've been lied to about all this stuff, that we just avoid it. I mean, I've sat with people and walked through the whole thing, and at the end they're like, oh, absolutely, John, I totally believe it. And next thing I knew, they're getting $1 million worth of chemotherapy for their 17-year-old son. When I told them, you know, I told them all the truths and the facts and the studies, but they don't hear it, you know. And so we are waking up now because of what we just went through COVID at a factor that is so massive compared to previously that it does make my job easier. And I do see the light go on in people's head a lot easier, but it's still a battle.
They catch it. They see it. They get that aha moment.
Exactly.
And that's where you want to be in position.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, you know, and when will the left start listening to that? Because I'm sitting there on this radio station. We're talking about, I mean, our mayor of our town was on there and I was remote. And they're talking about this shooting, and 5 callers in front of me start talking about guns again. They start, we're going to take away this. I says, oh, guys, you don't get it. You're not listening to it. And at what point do you listen to it?
Well, in the health world, fortunately, it's different than guns. Guns are, you know, obviously, seems to be a political thing as well. But with the combination of RFK and President Trump, I sat in a meeting of about, there was probably 10,000 people there after Trump had asked RFK to join him before they won. And I sat in a room, and it was humorous. I was there with I'm a very conservative person. I was raised conservative. My dad was very conservative doctor, and, you know, God-fearing, ran for Congress. He was in the John Birch Society, all that stuff. But the funny thing, as a child, my dad was a hero of the liberal left. He was the hero of the hippies of the San Francisco Bay Area, Haight-Ashbury, all that, because they back then, if you remember, everybody that was a hippie was like into, you know, eating organic food and not shaving your armpits. And wow, you mean there's a natural, you can eat the seed and you can avoid having cancer. They loved my father. So I was, when, like I talked about, health shouldn't be a left-right thing. It has become a left-right thing.
Right.
But when the left, because of RFK, my dad politically would have looked at the Kennedys and said, I don't agree with the Kennedys. You know, politically, you know, socially, I don't agree with the Kennedys, but he would have agreed with them for health and nutrition. But he was on Capitol Hill arguing for them not to make Laetrile illegal with Senator Ted Kennedy. I have the transcripts. Senator Ted Kennedy was grilling my dad, and my dad was responding. So politically, they were on opposite sides. But now RFK Jr., who grew up in that family, is now on our side. Now, again, I say our side. The truth in medical freedom should be everybody's side. And so I sat in this room of 10,000 people, and I was laughing because there was just as many left-wing hippies in that room as there were right-wing conservative Trump supporters. There was people that hated Donald Trump in that room that were supporting what RFK Jr. said and supported what Donald Trump said. So on the health freedom side, I'm telling you, we are making strides, and we are locking arms, with
but there shouldn't be sides, hey.
Well, I know that. I mean, you're right.
You're picking sides, and you're polarizing these now.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is that on the Maha side, I guess it would be, it really is, people are waking up. Even people, because they've gotten their kids, injected with something and then watched them sink into autism. They've watched these things that are absolutely provable are happening to their kids, and so the what is used to be the left wing, right wing dynamic is not there when it comes to your personal health, and so
Still
that's
picking
what
sides,
I'm
though.
seeing the most.
Right.
Well, they are. Yeah, they are still picking sides for whatever gosh darn reason. I mean, why pick any side? That if you believe in body autonomy,
There it
why
is.
pick
You
any
said
side
it.
that wants to force you to
Yeah.
take a vaccine, or force you to take certain medicine? Like when you get diagnosed with cancer in the United States, if you're in the medical industrial complex, you only have three options. That's chemo, radiation, and surgery.
Yep.
That's been
Yep.
the same way it has been for 60 years.
But you said it in a buzzword. You got me again. It's not about sides. It's about belief. So what I tell my people is, you don't need a side.
Mm-hmm.
Either you believe in the agenda or into our alignment, our agenda alignments. You believe. I mean, it's one of those things where it's hard to describe, but either you believe in it or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you start picking sides, you start staying sides. You're polarizing again. So
I like to.
Go ahead.
I like to just go into a room where people are opposite sides of me on some subject and then find common ground. That's
politics.
What I like to do. Well, it is politics. I'm not a politician. I'm not wishy-washy when it comes to things, but I can find, I'm very much into truth, and I will tell you my truth, but I don't. If you and I sat we're at on the lake in Minnesota, and we were fishing. We were fishing at the poles, and we were talking for 8 hours. We could probably find, we'd probably find 80% of the things we'd agree on. 100%, 10% we'd go, okay, let's not talk about that, and 10% we might even get mad at each other about.
But that's okay,
because I don't. Yeah, but that's okay. Exactly. We would have a great time. We'd be there. And so that's how I look at it. It's not that I'm not, I don't want to hang out with anybody that hurts children. I don't, I draw the line there. But there's other people stand on just this 1% and hate somebody or want to fight somebody, or they disagree just because of 1% difference.
Destroy.
Which then really,
yeah,
it destroys us making the world a better place, us making things happen because we're gonna stand on this one little issue and we're gonna hate somebody because of it, because they're on that side.
John,
I don't do that.
I had this conversation on the NPR, and it was the Angela show.
Uh-huh.
And she says, so why do you think this violence happens? And I don't keep coming back to the show. I just think it's funny that I've never been on a full left show, and I've never done it. So she says, what do you think happens here? I says, I get this. Gun is the tool of use. It's no different than a hammer. It's no different, but because it's a combat multiplier, this is how it works. Now, you ask me why this is. And I told her, I says, I take this back to a time when these kids, these people who are now in office and who are now calling the shots, haven't had the grace or have been taught how to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, what do you mean? I says, in order to be a gracious winner, you have to know how to be a gracious loser. And when we start raising these kids with participation trophies and all this, hey, we're going to do this and that, you didn't teach them nothing. So today, if you oppose them, they want to destroy you for not seeing their way. And when you started giving me the percentages of, we can talk 20% about this, or you just talked about every person, Democrat, liberal left, liberal right, on every subject, because that's how it really is, at least on this show.
That is. Yeah.
So why not get together on things we can do and not destroy if you don't believe?
Absolutely. And it is, that's the time we're going through right now. We're in an amazing, incredible time where people, I was on a call this last week, and Russell Brand came on.
Did he?
He was on. It was a Maha Action Committee. They said it was a top 500 influencers in the country, and I was honored to be invited on there. Even though I don't consider myself a top 500 influencer, I'm not a social media influencer. But they had Gary Brecka. They had just some major people. But Russell Brand specifically, I look at him, 5 years ago, I don't think I would agree with him about too much. But now he has woken up.
Yes, he has.
He has woken up to the fact that it's just about truth. It's not necessarily, right, left, up, down, all that kind of stuff. It's about truth. And they've gone after him. They've gone after him for the same thing he was applauded for 10 years ago, being a ladies' man and, all over the place. Now they've gone after him. But we're seeing that happen, that people that were, quote unquote, on opposite sides are coming together. And on health, it's refreshing because in health, we can agree on that. We can agree that the truth is better. And so I spoke to a doctor this last week who's an MD. He's highly decorated. He says he has more patients than he can possibly deal with, and he doesn't advertise. And he has been giving people in Florida over 1,000 injections a month of Laetrile, a vitamin, a nutritional supplement that's been around since the 70s that my dad went to jail for, lost his license for. This MD is now having a massive success in Florida. And so it gave me this again, I do this every day. I'm like, wow, am I living in the Twilight Zone?
Yeah.
Is this actually happening? Or, I said, how are you, the powers that be, how are they coming up? He says, John, I just do it all right. I don't say I'm curing their C word. We use that when we're on a platform. I'm not curing their big C. I'm helping their immune system. And so I can give them a high dose vitamin C. I can put them in an oxygen bath.
Well, let's talk about that.
Talk about the science.
Let's talk about that. Hold on here. We are 28 minutes, 17 seconds into segment 1. I'm going to take a break. Let's come back and talk about some of those ideas you had. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Hudcast, stand by. We're going to go to the next segment here, but I got to take a break. So hold on.
Need a quick, healthy boost to start your day? Try Superfuel. Superfuel by Casmo is loaded with vitamins and healthy ingredients that will give you a quick, healthy boost. Make Superfuel a great-tasting, low-calorie addition to your daily regimen. Order Superfuel at www.superfuel.me or call 833-FUEL-X12, FUEL-X12, or 833-383-5912, Superfuel.
Welcome back to Hudcast. On the phone, John Richardson. He is section 1. He's given us some huge intel, some great life experiences, some stuff that his father has done. The legacy continues. And John, you had mentioned in the previous section that you had some ways to give people some ideas, vitamins, shot. Go for that.
Yeah. It's I've been fighting this battle for 30 years, Tim, and it's my dad fought it for 30 years before that. So my entire life, basically, my family's been in this battle. And I'm just, by the grace of God, or for such a time as this, or whatever it is, I'm dropped right into the midst of this storm where people want the truth and they're tired of being lied to. So whereas they kept us all separate before, now, for example, in my warehouse, I have 60 years. I mean, literally 60 years, 32 pallets originally, 3 shipping containers full of documentation about Laetrile, ozone, the stuff they put in the toothpaste, the fluoride. Excuse me, I lost my brain for a second. All these different things, all these different things that we've been proven the facts for since the 70s about fluoride is damaging, is poisonous. The cancer rates go through the roof when you put it in the water. But they've lied to us for all these years. So I have this 60 years of documentation, and books and studies, and so now I'm at the kind of the forefront of right now in the world. I don't know of anybody that has more documentation, more information, more news about B17 and apricot seeds and Laetrile and what it does for a person with cancer.
Okay.
Now, all that said, I'm not sitting here telling anybody that's listening, they go, I found the silver bullet. It works every time. And don't worry, you can eat donuts and McDonald's and Burger King and just eat some apricot seeds and you'll be fine. I am not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. And especially since I got on a call yesterday with an amazing doctor out of Florida, and I wish I had the notes from the call so I could remember his name right this second. But he would shoot me if I couldn't remember his name. He's got a clinic, and I'll follow up with him. My son met him first, told me about him, and he is having absolute miraculous results with cancer patients and patients with other with lupus or with other horrible diseases, all by getting their body back into a level where they can fight it off. So meaning that it's not necessarily about some drugs. We all hear about, oh, there's a cure for cancer, there's a cure for this, there's a cure for that. No, we actually have to bring our immune system back into a good level with all these poisons we have in it. Or he said he's done tests. He's found gasoline in people. He's found jet fuel in their body's system. He does all these studies as an MD at testing blood to find out what's going on with somebody. But one of the main things he uses is Laetrile injections. That's one of the main things. We were finishing each other's sentences when it came to what it does and how it works. And so it was fascinating call. I met him for the first time. He was on my podcast.
Nice.
And we did the time went by like that. It went by so fast. We were both saying we need to schedule another time to talk about this, because I want that he has 24 staff members. He has more patients he can possibly handle, and he doesn't advertise. He doesn't put any advertising out there. He's constantly got more than he can use, but he's having success with these patients as an MD in Florida, and he's not bucking the system where they're feeling like they're coming and raiding him every week and they're trying to take away his license. He's actually, helping so many people that he's being supported, especially in the light of what we've talked about before, about how politically it's more accepted to have natural God-given answers to disease now than it's been before the whole COVID mess, or before this RFK Jr. became the head of HHS. So much is changing. And so I was talking about some of the things he's doing. And some of the things he's doing is, ozone baths, ozone therapy, hyperbaric chambers, because cancer hates oxygen.
Yep.
He actually told me he got this piece of equipment in Germany that you can only get in Germany, that you know how you stick your finger in those oxygenation things that tells you how much ozone oxygen you have in your
the oximeter.
Yeah, oximeter. Yeah, you can buy them on Amazon. I have one, but he tells you that just tells you your surface oxygen level. So even cancer patients could have 100% saturation, but if you take this German equipment and put it right on a breast tumor, you'll find the oxygenation level. And he asked me to guess. He said, you guess. And I said, well, what, 30%, 50%? He said 7%. Oh. 7% in a tumor. They're so lack of oxygen because cancer grows in an anaerobic state. So if you can get oxygen into your tissues and into your bloodstream and all that, your body's immune system will fight against cancer that much stronger. So they put them in an oxygen bath. They put their patients that have these tumors, and using this meter brings their oxygen levels up to 70, 80% at the tumor site, and they see absolute great results with all the other things that they're doing. And one of the main things he does pretty much with every patient is give them Laetrile injections. So 6, 9, or 12 grams in a day. Which is like, hundreds of apricot seeds, because an apricot seed contains about 20 milligrams. And so when you purify it and give it as a Laetrile injection, the reaction is tremendous for these people, because the chemistry of how it works, and we talked about it, is that the molecule of a Laetrile or amygdalin. Let me just kind of clarify what those three things are. Amygdalin's found in 1,200 different foods. So you got it in lima beans, millet, barley, sorghum molasses, lentils, but primarily in nuts, beans, and seeds.
Okay.
The seeds of apricots, the seeds of apples, the seeds of peaches, of grapes, but we can go down a path of why is everything seedless now? Why do we have seedless watermelons and seedless apples and seedless grapes? Well, they're taking the seeds that we need and that God said in Genesis 1:29, have the seed for thy food, and they're taking it out of our food. So not to digress, but that's what amygdalin's found in 1,200 different foods. You don't need ejections of Laetrile if you're eating a diet full of amygdalin, but the average American eats about half of a milligram of amygdalin in a day. That's not enough. The Hunzas, who live to be over 100 years old, they eat up to 200 apricot seeds a day. It was covered. CNBC did a big article February 2024 saying these people live to be over 100, and the number one reason is because they eat apricot seeds and oil. That was on CNBC in February 2024. You can Google it. The number one reason, apricot seeds, and it has a little hyperlink that says go to the study with the NIH. And the NIH says in 3 recent studies that amygdalin causes cell death in cancer cells. So it's out there, but they kind of keep it hidden. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're telling people about this, but we don't really want them to know.
It doesn't. It ain't profitable enough.
There's no profit.
Yeah.
You literally. There's a $1 trillion cancer industry that will be shut down if what I'm saying is true, and it is true.
But not to be conspiracy about it. Not
to be conspiracy.
Yeah,
no, it has nothing to do with the conspiracy. It has to do with.
Well, some listeners will get that, just by that last couple statements.
Well, you would get that, but it's not. It's a financial conspiracy. I mean, come on, the world revolves around money.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it that way. So you can make your money ethically, or you can do it. But I would say 95% of the people out there think they're making their money ethically. Okay, there's only the 5% of the criminals know that what they're doing is criminal, but they don't care anyway.
Let's not talk stocks and trades.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't know what we can break those percentages down. Yeah. The thing is, the system sets it up so that if you get cancer, the answers are very expensive and support a very huge industry. The non-pushed answers, the things that are cheap and effective that would actually put those things out of business, are not promoted. They're not told to you. These results I'm talking about that this doctor in Florida is having is not given to the patient, goes into Minneapolis hospital and is diagnosed with colon cancer. Yep. So it's not, is that because they're all evil? No, these doctors did not go into medical school to murder their patients. I can tell you
Absolutely
that. These guys, they went in to give them the best care they possibly could, but they're only taught the stuff that makes an industry millions of dollars, the pharmaceutical industry. Yep. The only chemotherapy you're talked about is the ones that's, cutting edge, $20,000 an injection. And, it's $500,000 when you're all said and done, if you're diagnosed with colon cancer, and that's all covered by insurance. So the system covers that. But if you choose this other path, it's $20,000. It's eating organic food and ozone and getting B15 and B17 and vitamin C injections. That's $20,000, but none of that's covered by insurance. So that option's not given to you if you go to your 12-story hospital in downtown Minneapolis or Scottsdale, wherever you go. So I'm talking to this doctor. We're hitting it off, and I'm saying, how do we spread this to other areas? How do we spread this to other states? And he says, John, I'm right in the middle of figuring that out myself. So
let's get him on the show.
The demand is there. Yeah, I'll absolutely get him on. I'll absolutely get him on the show. And there's another doctor, and I do remember his name, Dr. Scott Stoll, and he runs the Plantrition Project. People can go look at that. And Scott literally has become a buddy of mine. He uses apricot seeds and Laetrile in his medical practice as well. But he takes the bottom 10% of Whole Foods employees, meaning the most obese, most unhealthy, worst people. The CEO has said, take my bottom 10% and take them to a retreat for a week and give them organic food, seeds, apricot seeds, broccoli sprouts, all these different things. Teach them how to breathe properly. Teach them how to go stress. And the miracles that are happening from that, Tim, are mind-boggling. So I'm going to a conference that Scott is holding in Palm Springs in 3 weeks that's teaching medical doctors who are all clamoring to get the information about health and nutrition. And he's giving them a plant-based medical conference that's going to give them continuing education credits to these MDs. And I'll be there. And next year he wants me to speak at the event. This is stuff, when I'm telling you this, I can't even believe it. I can't. It's like I wouldn't believe it if I wasn't living it.
Yeah.
Because I'm being brought into the medical industrial complex, and they're willing to hear it because it's collapsing. Because patients are sick and tired of spending their life savings to just be worse off and sicker at the end of the process than they were at the beginning.
Well, remember, today's doctors are the generation that have participation trophies.
Well, that is true. That is very true. but it's they are at least have a conscience to know that what they're doing isn't no longer working, and they're being broken apart from the top down and from the bottom up.
Yeah.
The real pressure on making these doctors relearn what they were taught, not improperly, but what they weren't taught. My dad got about a week of nutritional education in his 10-year education before he became a doctor. Same thing with doctors now. But here is the thing, that right now we, the people, are pushing back to them and saying, we don't accept what you say unless you've got some proof behind it, or unless you give me the other side. What's the other side?
Show me.
Of this. Yeah, yep. Show me, exactly. And so just recently, I think it's been 15 days ago, it was announced that the richest woman in the world, a Walton family member, the Walmart family, just opened a medical school in Bentonville, Arkansas, that is teaching 80% nutritional, God-given, metabolic answers to disease, and 20% allopathic. And these people, the first class started with 48 people, 48 soon-to-be doctors, will all get MD degrees when they're finished. And this is life-altering. So the first 500 MDs that graduate from this new school, and again, you can Google that. Anybody listening, this new school, the first 500 doctors were paid for by the richest woman in the world. She wants to make a difference. I would say politically, she and I aren't on the same page, but we definitely are on the same page when she wants a healthier world. And so it's that kind of earth-shattering news. Tim, I can't even believe on a weekly basis, things happen to me, or I hear things that I'm shocked. At the end of the week, I go, wow, did that just happen?
It feels supernatural, doesn't it?
It does feel supernatural, and it's exciting. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because I don't want another person to die. Unfortunately, today 2,000 people are going to die miserable, horrible deaths. I had a woman crying to me last night saying, and I felt it from her, saying, I wish I'd have known you 3 years ago. My 27-year-old brother died of cancer. And, I don't know what to say. All I can say is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're in a battle, and people are going to lose their lives in this battle. But at the end, at the other side, because what I would do is take up the mantle that you don't want to happen to anybody else's 27-year-old brother, and fight this battle and get this information out there. Don't just hear me talk about it tonight and then go home and not do anything about it. And that's my challenge to people, is that each one of us can make a difference. And I say this a lot of times, and my staff laughs at me, but if I can just wake up in the morning and change one person's heart and one person's mind about what cancer really is, they can then become a superstar in their own community, in their own family, in their own world, and they don't need me. If they become energized about finding out this information and really getting to understand it, they can make a world of difference.
Then you did your job.
So yeah, I've done my job that day. Yeah,
I think the word is compassion. The same guy who taught me the deserves and earns had to give me a little schooling in compassion.
What?
Compassion.
Okay, yeah, the deserves and earns. Oh, deserves and earns.
The guy who taught me deserves and earns.
Yeah.
The total left Democrat who only votes Republican is like me. And he says, compassion. He says, you ever broke it down? I says, well, no. He says, compassion. Come, break it up. To join, passion. To suffer with someone, compassion. To understand their suffering. So together they're compassion. And I did go after that and look it up, and he's absolutely on cue. So what you've done was you've showed compassion to this girl that wish she'd known you 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the point. Where if you're not destroying and picking, you don't have time for compassion.
Yeah, that's true.
So hats off to you.
Well, thank you. It's really not about me. It's really about the message.
It kind of is when you're the guy talking about it.
Well, yeah, that's true, but it's the information can be, I'm not an MD. I don't see patients. I support them, and a lot of times in the past people go, "Oh, Dr. Richardson." I go, "No, I'm not a doctor." "Oh, you're not a doctor?" that doesn't mean I don't know more than 95% of doctors out there. I've talked to oncologists and radiologists and chemotherapists, and
You're a researcher.
and I've convinced them. I'm a researcher. I'm a historian. And I don't have any license to take away, so I have a less fear about saying the things I'm saying on this show right now with you to people who are listening. I have less fear because all they can do is say, oh, he's a liar, and then I proved that I'm telling the truth. I have the documentation. I have the studies. NIH, you can search it today on Google, came out with a study that said that amygdalin causes apoptosis. Apoptosis is cell death in cancer cells. So if people are saying, well, he's talking about amygdalin, that it helps with cancer, but it's poisonous and all that, that's all false, and I can prove it. And so but I'm not risking my medical license or my income or my career or that kind of stuff by telling this stuff. So I can be the brave one, and I can support doctors like Dr. Scott Stoll or Dr. Carl Felt in Idaho, or Dr. Frank Matalone, who's a friend of mine in Atlanta, Georgia. All these brave frontline doctors who are using Laetrile and using metabolic therapy to wipe out cancer in their patients. I'm not going to say cure, because I want to tell everybody there is no cure for cancer. They'll never find a cure for cancer because cancer is a deficiency disease. So unfortunately, if you want to not be thirsty tomorrow, you got to drink water tomorrow and the next day and the next day. You can't go, well, do I have to eat this amygdalin the rest of my life? Well, yeah, just like you have to eat fruit and veggies, and you have to eat organic food, and you have to try to have a good diet, and you have to try not to eat bad things. This is a life-changing situation to avoid a metabolic deficiency disease. And that's why, as Americans, it's kind of exploded, because we're so lazy. We want a quick fix. We want to cut it out. We want to burn it out. We want to do all that kind of stuff. But we're not addressing the fact that it's really just a deficiency disease.
But John,
and that's what it is at the root. Yes.
John, you don't have to be a doctor to be right.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's very true.
You don't have to be a researcher to know something.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a Democrat to be wrong. Did I say that?
It does. It does. It does help a lot, though.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is quite a show this morning. I appreciate this. I'll probably launch it. I'll probably launch it today. I got to do some editing.
Okay.
And before we burn a wheel here, let's get you plugged a little bit. So how do people get a hold of you? Where do you got to be?
Well, the best way, I think, to get a hold of me, if you want to speak to me, is through social media. So find me on Instagram so that you can directly communicate with me. But if you're trying to find out about our company's products, it's a little harder to get a hold of me through that avenue. But that's rncstore.com, and we have customer service people. We have people that help you get it in your health food store if you want to get our products there, or if you're a clinic and you want to get IV Laetrile. Everybody, oh, it's illegal. No, it's not. You just can't tell people you're curing the cancer. But it's all available on our website at rncstore.com, and it's Republican National Committee. No, not really. It's RNC Richardson Nutritional Center. I've had people message me and say, hey, will you get rid of Rona Daniels, or I'm not going to donate anymore to you? And I'd say, well, unfortunately, I have nothing to do with that, the political organization. But so rncstore.com is the way to get at us. And the cool thing about it, Tim, is that there's hours and hours of education that you can get on our website without spending a dollar. We actually have 3 of the movies that they deleted completely off of YouTube. And one is World Without Cancer by Gio Griffin. One is The Second Opinion, about how they covered up the proving that Laetrile worked at Sloan Kettering in the 70s and lied about it. It's a movie done by Ralph Moss that was completely deleted off of YouTube after getting 750,000 views. You can watch that free. And then there's another Nature's Answer to Cancer, which is a movie made back in the 60s about doctors sitting around saying, the next 10 years we're going to get rid of cancer forever with the discovery of Laetrile and B17. So that's all available on the website. And then one more great way to get the information so that you don't have to make a decision to get the book free, World Without Cancer, is we've set up a website called worldwithoutcancer.com, and you can go there and enter your first and last name and your email, and you'll have the book sent to you digitally before this podcast is over. So there's no excuse. And on page 111, you can see where the Hunzas live to be 120, 130 years old and eat 200 apricot seeds a day. And then you can find out about the Rockefellers and the pharmaceutical industry and the petroleum-based products that we've been forced down our throat for the last 60 years instead of health and nutrition. So that book, World Without Cancer, is more popular today, and we sell more physical copies of that book in a week now, by the book by G.R. Griffin, than they used to sell in a year back when he came out with it. So that's a gift from us, gift from you to your audience, for them to just read the book. Yes, you're on our mailing list, and yes, you will get updates, and yes, you'll get the newest thing about the school, the medical school opening up, or this podcast. If you send this radio link to us, we'll send it out to our email list. So it is a way for us to stay in touch with people, but it's a free gift, and it's life changing. And the information in there, they can never take away from you, no matter what happens to John Richardson Jr.
Are you honoring the podcast? What do you call it? Code?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
So what are you offering? To 10% like everybody else?
It's a 10% discount.
Okay.
Yep. And we honor that. Whatever that code is that you were given, I don't have it
it's
in my
Hutcast,
notes. All right.
HUTTCAST.
Absolutely.
So use that on your promo code out. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that goes to charity of your choice.
Yep.
The show makes nothing on this. We are a non-profit gig. Well, not that we're an NPO officially, but we're not. But I mean, I don't need the money, so I just do this to make people aware,
to educate people. Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm helping many moms out there that are spreading the news. They get that commission from telling people about it. That's the only way we do it. We don't advertise on ABC, NBC, CBS. We can't do that. So yes, we honor the discount. Everybody listening gets the discount. You just enter that rncstore.com/Hutcast, and it's automatic. You get the discount everywhere. It's automatic. Or if you got there any other way, please enter it in. It's really important for me to make sure that you get that discount, and that we help credit whatever charities people want to do. And if they are thinking of a charity, we have another one. I have another one. It's owwc.org, and that's operationworldwithoutcancer.org. And we're making a movie about all this. We're bringing an updated movie so that we can bring this to the world in an educational way, and we're going to play it at Mar-a-Lago in front of Donald Trump and RFK Jr. How do we know that? Because Frank Torchia, the man who made The Man You Don't Know About Donald Trump, that has over 110 million views, is our partner in that movie. So we need to raise about $300,000 from donations. So if you're thinking about wanting to help in a way, and you don't need the seeds, you've got your own seeds, or you've got them locally, you don't need the Laetrile or any of that. If you want to help us donate to that, you can make a big difference. And we've got a spectacular offer that anybody that donates $10,000 or more gets a seat at Mar-a-Lago at the launching of the movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you heard him. You heard him from the guy himself. And John Richardson, I want to say thank you for all my listeners, for all the people who are going to hear this. Please feel free to use the link in any way you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, what another great show. I appreciate this.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'd love to come on again, and any questions that the audience has, or updates and things like that. So we have so much going on, Tim. It's just an exciting time to be alive.
I bet it is. I bet you're just tickled giggle in the morning when you get up and you go, what can we do today?
Yeah, it's overwhelming in some ways, but it's super exciting. You're meeting great people. Like this has been fun meeting you. So I feel like we're friends now. And
hell yeah.
And if you need me to talk to somebody, you've got me on your Rolodex. So
vice versa. Not that I can offer.
Yeah.
I'm a car guy, so if you get somebody who's a tune-up, you can call. But
everybody's a car guy. Everybody's a car guy. Every red-blooded man is a car guy.
America.
America. Heck yeah.
From Minnesota.
Minnesota, my friend.
All right, Hutcast listeners, we're going to pull the pin at this, and I'll get this edited up and dropped off soon. John, again, thanks for being on the show, and I'll save your number, save mine as well, and we'll connect up, and if we need some more on time, we'll do it.
Absolutely. It'll be my pleasure.
Okay, Hutcast is signing off, and have a good one.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.